Hello and welcome to the Cat Scrappiness channel. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to take a deep dive into the new glitter mousses. Hi everybody, it's Janet and welcome to my craft room. I'm here again today for Cat Scrappiness. Hopefully you've already been to visit the prior video that I did showing all the new multimedia releases for June 2023 for Cat Scrappiness. There's also a few other little goodies, a die, some cardstock, and so on that has been released. So I hope you'll go over there and take a look if you haven't already. This video is going to be a deeper dive into the glitter mousses that have been added to the store. I'm going to show you how to use it and create a card with it. But first I'm going to go through all of the different colors so you can see what that looks like. There's a wide variety of colors. There's just so much you can do with it. This gel paste texture mixture, it provides volume and shine to any surface that you're working on, preferably a hard surface or a heavier cardstock. It is good for scrapbooking, decoupage, card making, and mixed media projects. And you can apply it through stencils, you can use a palette knife to apply it or a brush, and it really creates a beautiful finish to anything that you're working on. So let's take a look first at the different colors. So here we have 11 colors, and I put these into the color families. Starting here, this is electric blue, even though I didn't write it down, and we work through the blues to the greens. And then we've got some red, a purple, a fuchsia pink, a light pink, and a poppy, which is a little bit orangey. Then there are some traditional metallic kind of colors here. The golds, the bronzes, silver, chocolate, black, and then rainbow. Now rainbow is really unique. These two are the same colors, just one applied on black and one applied on white. Clearly you can see the white is pretty white. It actually has a bit of pink in there, but put on the black, it looks very aqua in color. So I'm calling the rainbow kind of the chameleon of the glitter mousses because I suspect, although I haven't tried it yet, that the rainbow will look a little different on the color that you put it on as it shines through. Since this is white and somewhat transparent, it makes sense that it will pick up colors underneath it. So just be aware of that. The others are very true to color, whether you put it on dark cardstock or light cardstock. So let's get started. I'm going to show you creating a background using the glitter mousse and then making a card with it. Alright you guys, I'm going to show you using glitter mousse, and I'm going to combine 3 colors together, and I'll use a typical stencil. This one is from Cat Scrappiness. What I've done to start is I've taken a piece of, in this case, a watercolor paper. You can use any paper you want, but I would recommend a little bit of a heavier paper, cardstock, maybe at least a weight of 80 pounds, just because there's liquid in these mousses, and of course that will cause thinner papers to buckle. For this one, as I said, I'm going to use watercolor paper. This stencil is in the Cat store. It's called Falling Stars. And what I did to prepare this is I just sprayed it down with some handy dandy pixie spray. If you don't have pixie spray, I think most card makers who have used this and like to use stencils will stand by it. It's very effective. You just spray it down, let that dry, and it creates a stickiness that will allow your stencil to stay put when you are using it with any pastes or other mediums. I got a little piece of hair stuck there. All right, and then as you noticed, probably should have said so, but I used a little bit of washi style tape to secure my cardstock or my watercolor paper onto the glass mat so it won't go anywhere either. And of course, making sure your stencil is not going to move as well as your paper is a really important thing to do when you're working with any kind of medium and a stencil. So I'm going to start with these 3 colors. I'm going to use silver, violet, and white gold in the glitter mousse. I love purple, so that violet is speaking to me. And these are stars, and I thought it would be fun to have different colored stars mixed throughout, and maybe even a star with 2 colors in it. Kind of depends on how it all works out. I'm going to start with 1. And when you unscrew these, you're going to find that there is a protective seal. Just peel that off like so. And then you can go ahead and dip in here. I am going to go this way, kind of upside down so I can smear it. And I'm gonna kind of randomly put my smears. And I want to use all of this that I can, because I'm not gonna, in this case I'll put some back, but as I start using these other colors I'm not going to mix them together, so I'm not going to put them back in the pot. So I'm going to try to be fairly stingy with each color so that I don't waste a lot, because again I'm not going to be mixing them together in the pots. So let's use some white gold now. Same thing, I'm going to peel that protective layer back. I'm going to use just a little. Now I do have a little of that silver still on my container, but that's why I started with the lightest color first, then I'm going to the next darkest color. That silver is probably not going to show up or get picked up even if there were a few grains that went into the gold because of the color that it is. And I'm gonna put some of this on in a couple different places. And you can see some of my silver now came off of my spatula, and that's great. That's actually kind of what I wanted anyway. So we're gonna keep adding a little bit here, because the idea is I want to have a few different colors sort of mixed together. All right. Looks good to me. Now I'm going to scrape this off, and I'm going to use a spare towel. So that's not too much that I'm wasting. It's actually not very much at all. I know as crafters we like to not waste things because things are expensive. Our tools and our playthings are expensive, and we don't want to just willy-nilly start being crazy with them. So I'm going to use my darkest color now, and I'm going to fill in anything I haven't yet covered. And I'm going to be somewhat careful not to go over really stuff I've already done, because of course that will coat another layer on top, I think. Let's see what happens. Kind of, but not really, I guess. So that's good to know. It kind of mixes with the previous color and really doesn't cause an issue with overwhelming it, even though that this is a dark, dark purple. All right, I see I got one little spot there yet that hasn't been covered. Just gonna, and you know what, if you don't get every star absolutely perfect, it's not like the end of the world or anything. You know, you want to try to get all the stars, but if you only got half of one or something, again, not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. Now this is a 6x6 stencil. I cut this to be 6.5 by 6.5 inches on the watercolor paper, just to give me a little extra room, because this kind of thing's going to happen, and then I can just cut that off and it's not going to mar my finished background. Alright, best as I can tell, I've covered every star. I'm sure I missed one though. I always seem to miss something. Alright, so you can see that came off of my knife quite well, as long as you do it fairly quickly. And then I'm going to peel back the stencil. And the great thing about this pixie spray is it will release real easily for you. And voila, I've got a mix of purple, gold, and silver stars there, which I think looks really great. So now what I'm going to do is run this to my sink and get it cleaned off, because if this dries, it probably will not come off of my stencil, or if it did, it would take a lot of scrubbing. So you want to get at this pretty quick. I'll be back in a jiff. Alright guys, I went ahead and washed this, and you see it came clean really nicely. And the cool thing about pixie spray is that it still is pretty sticky back here, even though I ran it through water. So that pixie spray will stay sticky for a little while in a few uses, which is great too. But you can see how pretty that is and all the glitter there. And imagine this with something pretty in front of it and as a background. And it looks like, you guys, I did get every star. I think I did. So I did a good job. All right, I'll be back when this is all dried up and we can work with it. All right, so here is the dried version, and I love this. Look, we've got some purple, we've got silver, we've got gold, and it's all mixed up together. And to neaten this up, I'm just going to trim it off, all that ucky stuff, as you call it. So this is a card that I made using that star background. And what I've done here is used our product. It's the Shaker Dimensional set, and this is a trio of stars. And what I did to create the sheen that you see here is I used another product in the line called Pearl Powders. And I was able to apply the pearl powder to the overlay that goes on top so that we get this beautiful metallic bronze finish. Now if you'd like to see how I did that, take a look at my deep dive into the pearl powders and you'll see how easy it was to do this one. Here is another background I created. Similarly, this is called Falling Hearts, and I had a little smaller piece of cardstock to begin with. This is again watercolor paper, and so I just cut this to fit a mini slimline card background, which I will use to make a card later and show you. But here's another example of, I've got a strip left over. This would be great on an A2 size card, or maybe even cut in half and used in two of them. It very easily could do that and just give you a little bit of shine and glimmer. So there you go. Perfect examples of multicolor glitter mousse being used for some backgrounds. Alright, in this release we do have one die. This is the Polaroid die, and don't pay attention to DS3, that's just my own filing system. But this is called the Polaroid die, and this is what it looks like. It is precious. I love this little die. And I've used the glitter paper for this too, with some of that pink. I just decided to be a little whimsical about it. Wouldn't it be fun to have a pink glitter Polaroid camera? I think it'd be fabulous. Alright, I'm going to create a card with this background. Again, this stencil was called Falling Hearts, and the three colors I used in this were pink gold, ruby, and fuchsia. And I just think it really turned out pretty. I love all the pinks and the reds together. Obviously for hearts too, it's really a good combination. So to start with, I'm going to show you my card base. I made this out of red cardstock. This is a kind of a traditional mini slimline card. You start out with a 7-inch wide cardstock, which you score in the middle at 3.5, and it is 6 inches tall. So again, when you cut this, it's 7 by 6, folded in half. Then I have cut a gold mat to go on there, and then I'm going to put this on top. Just need to kind of center that as best we can. I might be just a hair off, but hey, it doesn't really matter all that much. I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I've learned to give that up because otherwise you just never are happy with anything. And this is handmade work, and it's never ever going to be perfect. Took me a while to, you know, accept that and embrace it, but once I did, it made my card making a lot more pleasurable, let me tell you. Okay, so now we have this beautiful background, and you could just put a sentiment on here and it would be gorgeous by itself, and really playing up that beautiful glitter mousse that we've applied on this cardstock. But I'm going to add a couple more elements. First, I have used one of the word dies from the store that says Cheers. Now this does have a shadow, but I chose not to do the shadow in this case. I've just got the single red Cheers. I stacked 4 layers of cardstock together, gluing them to get a more chunky look. I don't know if you can make that out, probably not, but it's fairly chunky. And then I have made this little Polaroid die up. I think it is adorable. I love the whimsical pink glitter. I wish I could have had one like this when I was growing up, but I think it's great. So I've put some double-sided foam tape on the back of this, and we're going to peel that off and place it down. And I kind of want to know where I'm going to put this, so I have plenty of room there, but I'm going to put it below that. I think about right there. Nope. I'm going to put it down a little further. Alright. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Now for this I do need my liquid glue. And what I like to do is just put it down, grab a little part of it, and start dabbing. With these really thin metal tips, you can get nice application of this with just tiny little drops. I know some people like to use like a little sponge with glue on it. Perfectly good. There's all kinds of different ways you could do this. This just happens to be the way I tend to do it. But I'm going to place that right across the top, and it's going to overlap some of those hearts, which is perfect. It gives it a really fun look. I just got to make sure I've got it pretty straight here, which I think I do. And voila! Like that, you have this gorgeous little card with that cute Polaroid camera on it, and it's just a little mini slimline. So here's a quick look again at the two cards that I made using the beautiful glitter mousses. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you'll check out some other videos from me and other design team members so that you can get additional ideas and tutorials. See you around soon. Bye.